Yeah, man. So I got another interview for you guys. This is Tyrone from Wisconsin, and he's a targeted individual, and he wants to tell us about his situation and what's going on and talk about remote neural monitoring. So how's it going, man?
Uh, yeah, I'm just, I don't know if I can see this. If I just, like I said, my situation is, I was incarcerated in a racing correctional institution. Uh, in 2018 was when I got released. But as I was there, I was I was put through a lot of little mind control acts and everything. Like I said, I started hearing voices as I was walking in the yard and everything. I'm thinking it's the inmates and all that, but it wasn't. So, and I thought I was actually going. I thought, like I said, I thought I was actually going crazy, but at the same time, I wasn't. See, they used the term schizophrenia with me because because they thought my mom's had a history of schizophrenia. So this is how I feel that they got into my that they tried to get into my head with it.
Right.
When I got isolated in the hole, they were telling me like my family and friends they were using different voices. Like but I noticed like they grabbed the voices from out my memory because they were using my friends' kids' voices like back way back when. That's how I really like started figuring out like something is really wrong here.
Yeah. So, well, let me ask you, when is the last time that you saw those that friend?
Well, actually when I got out, I started seeing a few of them that they was, but it was a particular person that they was using my cousin, and they were using his voice. And when I got around them, I was so skeptical, like you know what I'm saying, because they were saying that he wanted to kill me from the things that I did in the past. That's what they was using against me in my past. Like, and I sit back and argue with these people every day. And it's nuts, like, because they use my past against me. I'm telling them, like, you can't, how could you use my past, something that I've been through? And I know they were telling me that no one loved me, that they wanted to see me on the streets, they wanted to see me lose everything, you know what I mean?
Right.
Make me have no money. They wanted me to, they saying that that they read my mind in my sleep. They say when you go to sleep, we're gonna stop your heart in your sleep to make it look like you got a heart attack, having a heart attack because I have a synthetic heart valve that I got put in 2002.
Yeah.
And so these are all the little things that they be saying to me and using against me. Like,
It's a
it,
terror tactic. I mean, a lot of what they do has to do with trying to terrorize you. Um,
right.
the reason I was asking you about exactly when maybe you saw that person because um, for them to get a voice from your memory is very difficult because they can't actually dig around in your memory. Okay, all they can really get from you is your active thought process of what you think now. So if you remember something or if you're thinking about something, then they can know that then, but they
Yeah.
can't dig around in your mind for something that you're not thinking about. So you have to be thinking about it right then. So I was asking like, when's the last time you maybe see those people? Because, um, it's one of the tactics that they use to put the people around you on remote neural monitoring. But the the way that they can use somebody's voice as a setting is because that person is on neural monitoring. Now,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not that person is a targeted person, or if that person has their neural monitoring and is a gang stalker person, it doesn't really matter. If you hear somebody's voice, it could mean either or. It just means they're in the system. So one way or another, that person's either on remote, and if they're on remote, they're being targeted at least by a broadcast, whether they know about it or not. They're having people connect to them unconsensually, or if they're somebody that has access to their neural monitoring, then they can allow people to use their voice as a setting, or it could be that person. Anyway, you really have to listen for the personality, because they can use voice settings that are very accurate to the voice. So but I was wondering, like, when maybe you saw that person, because you said it started while you were in jail, and they were using your friend's kid's voice, and the only way that they could use that is if that person is on neural monitoring. So if you
I don't mean to stop you. They were using my friends' voices when we were kids. You know what I mean? Just like a female that I knew from I've known my whole life. You know what I mean? But they used her voice. She was it wasn't her grown voice. It was her little girl's voice. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, that would be the person of interest if I were you. That's who I'd be wondering about, because they can't dig around in your memory. It's not a possibility that maybe if you were having a dream and, because they can definitely watch your dreams, but maybe if you had a dream and had that voice come through your dream accurately, maybe they could use some sort of modulation. But for the most part, from what I know, that they have to have somebody in the system to be able to use their voice as a setting. So that girl that you haven't seen in a long time, if she could have her voice do it, because a lot of these people on my channel, they can change their voices. It could be their voice, but they can change their voice. They can modulate things, but they can use other voices too. But whoever's voice they're using has to be in the system. So I would be wondering about that.
You said they could also be on this unconsensually, right?
Right. They could have had that person on remote, just like you're on remote. Just like, for instance, they've used my grandmother's voice before. They've used my grandmother's broadcast before. I know my grandma isn't involved with gang stalking. She doesn't even know how to use a smartphone. So,
Right.
I know she's not a gang stalker, but they've used her voice, so I know that they have her on remote neural monitoring. So that's the only way that they can use her voice, because they put her, and the other family and friends and people around me have also been put on remote neural monitoring, and so they can use those people's voices as a setting to try to make things more confusing.
You see, it's like the voice just said, "We watching all y'all ass." This is exactly what just came through to me.
Yeah, so he's letting you know, like, yeah, I got your whole people on remote neural monitoring, and it's probably true. They probably are putting everybody around you on remote neural monitoring, but I'm gonna make sure that everybody understands how this works. And while you're watching all of our asses, you ain't got no other life, and you're laying there on a mind control headset. You're probably a rapist. You're probably a pedophile, and you're such a J to be mind control addicted to somebody else all the time. So that's what I got to say to the people who talk to you.
Right. I don't like I argue with them all the time. I argue with them in my head. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I always degrade them. I don't. It's just like today. It just told me, like, there's so many women in here, because I've been telling females out here Happy Mother's Day, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they pop up like, so all these females here, but you ain't saying Happy Mother's Day to them. I'm like, shit, what the fuck I'm gonna say Happy Mother's Day to you for? You trying to ruin my life.
Yeah.
They said they want to put me on the street. They want to have me eating out of garbage cans and all this shit. Like,
You know,
don't want to have me with no money in this.
yeah, there's some people that I've talked to that because I deal with the same thing you deal with the artificial telepathy. I don't know if they attack you like they attack me. They've been like broadcasting, like attacking my stomach all night. It's like the trend. They go through little phases where they'll attack certain things, but it's been my stomach the last day or so. But I've talked to so many people that feel like that these people somehow are like a neighborhood watch that are like trying to steer them in the right direction. And I'm like, hold up. These people don't mean anything good for you. They're watching your life. They're mind raping you. They're an intrusion. They won't go away. It's a problem. These people aren't here to help at all, and they're not any kind of good Samaritans in the neighborhood watch program. They're gang stalkers. They're addicted to mind control, and that's it. They're a problem. All they want to do is broadcast all the time.
That's what they tried to drill them out here. Like they some good people and all this. Like they some good people. That's why we doing this to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We appreciate it so much. Yeah. I bet you they wouldn't do it to themselves. Or let somebody do it to their family.
Right.
Yeah. So, people ask me, and we spoke briefly earlier, and people ask me like, well, how do I get off of this? And to my knowledge, I don't think you can get off of it. I think that once you're in that system, you're on it forever, and that's it. And these gang stalkers are on the same exact system. All right, so they have their neural monitoring, and then they have your neural monitoring. So they connect the neural monitors, and then they can use all of your settings and do whatever they want on your frequency, on your channel, and you can't stop them because you don't have your profile. So it's like, look at it like a social media. If you go onto the neural monitoring website, you access your profile, then you got all your settings for the mind control, who you want to connect to, how do you want to broadcast, who do you want to talk to, artificial telepathy, all of these type of things. So you don't have access to your controls that they do, and they use it as a weapon against you. So ultimately the goal is to gain access to neural monitoring. So we got to figure out what this website is, and I've got a lot of people understanding how this works, and this is something that we're all starting to work on, and exposing the broadcast and being able to access these sites. That way we can control our own settings and destiny, and can connect to who we want to or not, and participate to the level that we decide, rather than to whatever they decide for us. So it's going to be real bad for them when it all goes down. They know it. They know it's getting bad. They're starting to have rallies, and everybody's starting to understand that, how this broadcast stuff works, and different ways to expose it. And it's going to be real bad for them.
Yeah. But like I said, in my own experience, to my understanding, it was like, because like I told you, when I got out of prison, I was in a temporary living placement, right?
Right.
And this is when they was hitting me the hardest. Because I've read that they can place thoughts inside your head and everything. Like, and I was seeing so many images. It got to the point where I was making them believe I was going to take my own life, and they was getting excited over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, ultimately they know. Well, like, you can't really trick them. Like, if you think I'm gonna make them think that I'm gonna do this, but they know what's going on in your mind, so they know that you're trying to play a trick. But they may play along. It's all about their live streams. They do these live streams, EMF broadcast live streams of the targeted person's life and their little gang stalking, and so they like to play along, but just know that you can't trick them. They know your passwords. They know your alarm codes. They know your safe combinations. They know what you're thinking. They know if you come up with a plan. They know that. So you got to figure out how to deal with the situation, knowing that they know, and they just can't do anything about it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like I'm like in a different place right now because I'm steady studying and searching and finding things out. And
Right.
it's like I'm getting to the point where they are not consuming my whole life like they was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Same with me, man. In the beginning, it was like I was so blown away by all of this. Like, wow, they can broadcast and they can be somewhere else and like they can talk to you from somewhere else and like all this crazy. They can displace energy. Like they can attack you. But you were talking about thoughts. You know, it's not really that they could put thoughts in your head, but they can broadcast whatever they want to you. So they could broadcast a porn movie to you, you know, and that might start like kind of going through your mind, make you feel some type of way. As also, you know, they're connected to you, so they can see what you see and they can feel what you feel and know what you're thinking, but it's a two-way connection. So they're wearing a mind control headset, and that's like an amplifier that just puts that directly into their mind, full power. So it's you know, it's very clear to them. You know, they can see what you see right in their mind, like it's them seeing it, and they can know what you're thinking. But we get the same signals from them. We just don't have the headset. So if you're kind of in tune with things, you'll start to get, you'll start to be able to mind read them a little bit sometimes. You know?
I've been doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they talk to you, sometimes like when in my case, the telepathy, it's like a form of mind control. So when they're talking to you, you tend to want to talk along with them, word for word. It's like you know what they're gonna say, so it's like it's forcing you to talk along with them. So you got to learn to like break off from that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's been happening to me.
Yeah.
It's like they can get to talking and then I finish the sentence off
Yeah, or just be talking together, like they're talking and you're talking at the same time, but like word for word for word. It's like how can we just talk together? It's so weird. But do you use an EMF detector, a meter? Like,
right.
like I got this. See, it's like mid 40s. That's where it should be in the mid 40s. I got this app, and when it's up real high, that means they've got a live stream turned on. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I use that all the time. I try to figure out whatever I can do. So, a lot of people say that they have trouble working. You experience that?
Mm. It's just like they just said right now, like they trying to use my kid's mother against me so much. Like they just said if my kid's mother gave me up, they would leave her alone. I don't know how that's working.
You know, it could be, you know, her ex or something like that. A lot of times it's people that are close to you. It's probably most likely somebody that you know or have known, or somebody that you've dated or been around, or that she's dated or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably a lot of times somebody close to you. Usually they don't choose random people to target. You know, and I mean, I'm sure the government does use this, but not the gang stalk. You know, the gang stalkers are the normal people out here that get a hold of this technology, and they're just swept up by the, you know, infatuated by the power that it gives them.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right, man, I'm running out of time. Anything you want to make a closing statement?
I mean, I'm just happy that I can see that somebody else is it's more of a it's not just me. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
they seem to just using me as a test dummy. So I'm feeling like that I'm finally reaching out to others that's going through this and it's making it way easier for me.
I'm glad, man. There's a lot of us. So, well, I appreciate you coming on, everybody. Tyrone from Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man.